What's happening, Manhwa champions? Don't forget to leave your feedback and smash that like button. Now let's dive into this epic tale.
Without lingering, let's go straight into the plot. Before continuing the story, let's first introduce several techniques possessed by the MC and the opponents in this story. First is the fire technique, one of the most basic techniques in the cultivation world that can be mastered at the key refinement stage. This technique releases flames with temperatures of more than 1500 degrees Celsius. However, because its energy consumption is high, this technique is rarely used repeatedly in battles at the key refinement stage. Second is the object control technique, also known as sword control, a basic technique in the cultivation world. By channeling spiritual energy into an object, that object can be freely controlled. Before the foundation establishment stage, a cultivator can use this technique to fly on that object using minimal energy. Third is the heart-eating fire formation technique, a key-based formation that uses low-level formation flags as its base. This formation can unleash fire of more than 2000 degrees Celsius erupting from within the enemy's body. However, this formation consumes significant energy, is difficult to master, and has low targeting accuracy, so it is often ignored by many cultivators. Besides the techniques the MC has, Mimin will also introduce the enemy's techniques. First is arbitrary desire transformation, a basic technique from the Heaven Limit Sect. Those who are gifted and eat the Tao fruit will hear the whispers of the immortal ruler of Heaven Limit, who forcibly implants one of three techniques. This technique allows the body to stretch freely and turn into a keratin-like substance that can increase the body's hardness, though with limited attack power. Second is the Heavenly Divine Craftsman technique, also a basic technique of the Heaven Limit Sect, which allows the transformation of any inanimate object touched by the skin. However, the transformation range is limited by cultivation level. Heaven Limit cultivators at the spirit sensing stage can only extend objects up to 5 feet from their bodies. Now into the story. A big-bodied man has readied one arm, intending to attack while asking if it's only the two of them. Suddenly, from the air comes an answering voice refuting him, saying its owner is present too. That is none other than Zangyuan, who shoots in at high speed and finally lands, smashing into the man. The smaller man is stunned. He did not expect his companion to be taken down so easily, especially as Zangyuan fixes him with a sharp gaze, asking whether the two of them are immortals. The big man lying down turns out not so easy to fell. Purple energy radiates from his face as he answers that indeed they are immortals, foolish seedlings who don't understand death. With those words, Zangyuan is suddenly startled because he feels something amiss, so he immediately leaps to avoid the danger coming. It is a high-level immortal art attack, arbitrary desire transformation. Realizing this, he of course does not just stand there, he counters by joining 2 fingers to use the fire purification art, then thrusts it. As a result, the opponent's technique vanishes without a trace, burned by the flames. He himself doesn't even have time to evade, truly engulfed by blazing fire. On the other side, the smaller companion tries to avoid, sheltering behind a Tao tree, shocked, asking whose control of fire this is, who exactly is Zangyuan. Right after that question, he crouches and unleashes a high-purity immortal technique named Heavenly Divine Craftsman. Like wood roots creeping, it forms a claw, ready to strike Zangyuan. To meet it, Zangyuan again puts his hands together, 2 fingers raised, eyes sharp, then uses an earth/stone technique. The 2 forces meet, causing a great explosion. Zangyuan's power dominates, breaking the small man's attack and leaving him aghast, asking again who Zangyuan really is, not only using fire, but also mastering earth and stone. As the question comes, Zangyuan launches a follow-up strike with a key sword technique that lands cleanly on the small man, making him fall helpless. Xiaoling and Xiaotian witnessed this in shock. They hardly believed what happened. How could an immortal be taken down so easily by Zangyuan? Still recoiling, Xiaotian praises that what Zangyuan did was so cool and truly strong. Zangyuan ignores it, focused on his thoughts. Was the energy he just released called pure Qi? Thanks to cultivation experience from his previous life, he has broken through to Qi Refinement Layer 12 in just a few days. As expected, this pure Qi is extraordinary, but without elixirs, he will not be able to break through to Foundation establishment. Next, he must look for ingredients to concoct those elixirs. Over to Xiaotian, under his older sister's care, again praising Zangyuan's moves as amazing, asking if he could teach him too. Zangyuan doesn't answer, only saying those two earlier must be the guards, let's run while no other guards see them. Hearing that, Xiaoling and Xiaotian smile and agree. Shift to the Heaven Limit Sect residence. A figure on a throne, titled Elder Sui, asks his subordinate named Jiangxi about preparations for the grand ceremony. Jiangxi answers everything is ready. 500,000 Dao fruits have been placed on the altar. Elder Sui says tomorrow is the day the immortal ruler will descend to collect the Dao fruit, so they must be careful. How about the state of the Dao fruit tree seeds this year? Bowing slightly, Jiangxi reports that the birth rate of human children in the villages of Heaven Limit territory has dropped drastically. 9 out of 10 villages now consist only of weak and sick elders. The collection of children this year is only 1/3 of previous years. This shocks Elder Sui, who shows anger, cursing for them to quickly find ways to add population from nearby cities. Must he explain how to obtain them? Whether buying or taking by force, it's up to the subordinates. Don't they know this concerns the sect's survival? Do it now! Right after giving the order, he rages, unleashing his ability seemingly to strike the subordinate. But before that, the man at the far end asks Jiangxi to quickly retrieve the Dao fruit, and the man in the middle tries to calm Elder Sui and lets Jiangxi go to find the seeds. Without second thought, Jiangxi accepts and turns to fulfill his task. But before leaving the hall, he's stopped by a subordinate reporting that 2 plantation guards of Sembil have been killed. Jiangxi doesn't accept it immediately, he reconfirms if the information is true. The subordinate bows and confirms one was burned to death and the other annihilated. Apparently the 2 guards secretly brought seeds into the sect. Jiangxi falls silent for a moment on hearing this, thinking, does this indicate an attack from outside or an insider trying to cause trouble during the grand ceremony to shake his position? Either way, tomorrow is the ceremony day. For now, it's best not to blow it up. He ends his thoughts, ordering the subordinate not to spread the information. He will handle it after tomorrow's ceremony. The subordinate clasps his hands, understanding. After a while, shift to a residence now occupied by Zangyuan and the 2 siblings. Xiaotian happily eats while observing patrol movements of the Heaven Limit Sect guards, saying enemy patrols look relaxed and don't seem to take their escape seriously. He asks if his sister won't eat more. Haven't they been starving for days? Let's enjoy all this delicious food. Xiaoling says she's full and warns not to be too close to the window if they don't want to be discovered. The younger brother says these people aren't as great as rumored, always claiming they are immortals, but actually very weak, felled in a single move by Crazy Brother. He will learn from Crazy Brother to protect his sister. By the way, what is Crazy Brother doing upstairs alone? Why hasn't he come down? The sister says she doesn't know. Zangyuan took many items upstairs, so don't disturb him. Cut to Zangyuan stretching both hands to perfect his ability. Around him is filled with golden Qi, wrapping several crystals before finally melting. He changes gestures, joining both hands to signify he wants to solidify them. Slowly, the energy fuses before finally spreading everywhere, forming small items like flags. He thinks, After all, these materials have uses similar to the original. These low-level formation flags have 90% of the original effect. That's enough. For now, I can only rely on this pure key to cultivate, so I need to make reserves before leaving. But before that, I take a set of clothes to wear. Back to the siblings. Xiao Tian says he is very full. This is the first time in his life eating this much delicious food. Hearing him keep talking, Xiaoling scolds him to be careful and not forget where they are. Instead of listening, Xiao Tian rebels, saying, "There's nothing to fear. Aren't we with crazy brother Zangyuan?" Right after he says this, suddenly a shadow flashes in at very high speed. It is none other than Zangyuan. He tells them both not to go anywhere and to wait for him a moment. He raises 2 fingers to use object control, which is a sword ready to be used. At the same time, he pushes a hand forward to open the window, then flies off riding his sword. The siblings are awestruck, truly stunned seeing Zangyuan's display. They never imagined such a thing exists in the real world, especially seeing it clearly before their eyes. Xiao Tian says it's true. Clothes can make someone look even more impressive. Xiao Ling is speechless. After some time, Zangyuan is on a hillside, having finished planting the formation flags he just made. He says the 72 points around the area are set, only the formation core remains. He continues his journey, thinking, if he uses object control to control an ordinary iron sword, it will be slow and quite draining. Therefore, he must quickly gather materials to craft a magical tool. Not long after, he arrives right above his target point and finds a mass of Dao fruit like a hill. He thinks, these fruits truly grow on the bodies of people who turned into trees. This sect is truly disgusting. Back to the siblings. Xiao Ling anxiously looks out the window. The brother lies on the table, stuffed, telling her to rest a bit. Crazy brother is very strong, so there's nothing to worry about. But suddenly, they both startle at someone's arrival, calling for Han Ming and Han Yong, the owners of the house. The arriving guest actually knows the occupants are no longer the owners, but pretends not to so the siblings will open the door. Instead, they panic. What should they do? The guest bangs on the door even more, saying he has urgent business and needs some important items from the house's owner. The siblings still don't open. They are truly confused and stuck, just staring at the door. Slowly, the voice fades and silence returns. They speculate the guest is left. But unfortunately, they are wrong. From the door appears a claw formed from wood roots. The technique's owner is a man with tied hair. He sneers. He already guessed the siblings wouldn't dare open the door. So there are 2 seeds. Which plantation did you escape from? Luck is good today. Now you both are mine. With this, he uses the high-purity immortal art arbitrary desire transformation intended to capture them. They realize it. Xiao Tian spontaneously turns to shield his sister. The man startles because he senses fire chi appearing, and it shoots toward him, making him curse and ask who's there. Zangyuan doesn't answer, focusing on object control, and launches his sword. Realizing this, the man doesn't just stand there, he takes action, unleashing his finishing move, mocking that Zangyuan is just seeking death. The 2 moves meet in the air, dominated by purple energy, indicating the man's technique is superior and slowly erodes Zangyuan's sword. Seeing this, the man smiles thinly, arrogant that if that's all Zangyuan can do, then... Before he finishes, he suddenly stops. He senses something wrong enveloping his body. Now he feels extreme heat. He looks at his opponent and finds that Zangyuan is using the heart-eating fire formation, which finally burns him helpless. He can only groan, enduring the searing flames. Zangyuan uses a shield to withstand the heat, then again uses object control to swiftly fly off, taking the 2 siblings away from that place.
Before you go, don't forget to tap like if you enjoyed the episode, subscribe for more epic recaps, turn on notifications so you never miss a chapter. And with that being said, Manhwa Champions, we're going to bring this video to an end. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and I will catch you all later. Peace.